have one of T-Rex's own up on the 7th floor down the hall from I-10. Ilerasoft is coming to share their story. Melanie Igwe, Kwaku Owusu.
Hello, and thank you for having us, and thanks for being here. My name is Kwaku, and I'm the CEO of Ilerasoft.
Hi, I'm Melanie Igwe, and I'm the CCO of Ilerasoft. We're here to tell you about how our solution will change healthcare for the better.
Before we do that, we'd like to give you a brief background on ourselves. I started as a healthcare consultant at a pretty large system in New York. And one of the issues that I noticed was underutilized medical equipment. We had supply closets so full of medical equipment, you couldn't even walk into them. But at the same time, I noticed that the hospitals within our system would rent equipment from a third-party rental firm at a premium when that same piece of equipment was sitting in another hospital within our system. It didn't make any sense to me, so I wanted to create a platform that allows hospitals to track utilization and allow sharing of equipment between hospitals in the same system and between departments in the same hospital. So I was seeing a problem from a consultant's point of view, so I needed to talk to somebody that was seeing the same problem, but from an operational point of view. That's when I linked up with Mel.
Yeah, so in Kwaku validating the utilization as well as the shared use, I thought it was an excellent...
I know, I'm trying to get it to work. Still Kwaku's microphone.
Okay. Yeah, so in... Better? Awesome. So in Kwaku validating his idea, I thought it was excellent. Being a data analyst for clinical engineering, I definitely saw the opportunity for increasing utilization, as well as being a part of a large health system, the opportunity to share the equipment across the system. So great idea. The one thing that I thought could be added was a safety component. So in my last role, I oversaw FDA safety recalls. And unfortunately, I had to see people die because of defective equipment. And the primary reason for that is because of the fragmentation with the software that's there currently. I thought it was unacceptable. I went to my former boss at the time and said, hey, we can do something about this. We can automate it. We can make this a better system. She said we didn't have the resources. So meeting Kwaku, I was like, I do have the resources actually. So there is Ilerasoft. So here's the problem. There's no centralized solution to comprehensively manage equipment, utilization, safety, and shared use on one platform. This is resulting in terrible decisions from hospitals. Each year there's around $28 billion in unused equipment capacity, as well as 50,000 preventable hospitalizations and deaths due to defective medical equipment. And because of the lack of visibility from not having a comprehensive platform, there's poor collaboration that can happen as well. So here's an example. So a trend in healthcare is that hospital systems are growing and growing and growing. And as there's more hospitals being introduced to health systems, as more hospitals are being introduced to health systems, there's more equipment to manage. And as a result, there's more defective equipment that's coming in as well. So here's the trend from the FDA. So what kind of equipment are we talking about? Primarily mobile equipment, which makes up 95% of medical equipment. And what's unfortunate is that because there's so much and there's not a mechanism to understand what you have, there's gross underutilization. So approximately around 58% of underutilization. And many times we just, in hospitals, we buy and buy and buy, and that's why we're purchasing more than between 30 to 50% of unneeded equipment. So if the issue is fragmentation, the solution is centralization. So what we do is we centralize all equipment on one platform for data system-wide, right? So as a result, we're able to increase utilization, we're able to improve safety, and we can encourage sharing.
So at Ilerasoft, we are solving two of the biggest problems for hospitals, health systems, and surgery centers. The first is the underutilization of medical equipment, and the second is FDA safety recall. And here's exactly how we do it. So hospitals have been consolidating to the point that you will have different hospitals within the system with different mechanisms to track equipment, right? So what we do is we take the individual hospital equipment data and pull it on one platform. So for the first time, now you can get a global view of all the equipment within your system. Then we take it a step further. We link your entire inventory directly to the FDA so that the minute there's a recall, you can see it. Currently, the dominant player issues emails. It's an email that says there's a recall on X. There's no relevancy to you, right? And it can take over 3 weeks for hospitals to identify the right defective equipment and address it. We do that in real time. That's the first thing we do. On our utilization front, we tap into the existing RTLS system that already exists in the hospital to start tracking utilization down to the equipment level. Then we pull that together to give you your category or your department level utilization. So for the first time, one hospital on the west side of the city can see how they are, how one of their departments is using equipment and compare it to another hospital on the east side of the city. And we normalize the data, right, based on the type of population that you're receiving. Another thing that we've developed is this thing called an efficiency score. It is essentially a credit score for medical equipment. It's an easy way for anybody within the hospital to see how they're using their equipment, and we add financial metrics to it. We make it really simple, and it says, for every day that this equipment goes under use, this is how much it's costing you in OpEx, this is how much it's costing you in service contracts, and this is how much it's costing you to rent that same piece of equipment. So we make it very, very easy. Now, this is a $4 billion market, right? And it's growing at a 10% rate. We see the same problem in pharmaceutical recall and the same problem in food traceability. So we want to get into those markets in 2019 and 2020, respectively. Now, it will just take a minor adjustment to our software to attack these markets since they're all being fed by the FDA. So we are a SaaS company. We offer a 3-month free trial, and we enter into a 36-month agreement. Based on that, we're targeting St. Louis, Kansas City, and Chicago initially. And our primary customers are hospitals and health systems, followed by ambulatory surgery centers, and then followed by the actual equipment manufacturers themselves. Again, because we can get all the equipment use data, they can benefit from our preference data, they can benefit from our maintenance data so that they can make more relevant features in the future. So market validation. This is something that's been validated. We actually went down to DC and spoke at the FDA. We told them about how we can give you real-time link and alert to medical equipment safety recalls. They liked what we had to say, and they subsequently invited us to join this group called the Learning UDI Community. And it's a group of academics and technologists working to make medical equipment safer. Being part of this group has been tremendous for us because we are at the driver's seat. We know what's coming down the pipeline in terms of regulations relative to medical equipment. And also we know how to build our product to make it future-proof. We are currently running a pilot with a large system here in St. Louis, and upon completion of the pilot, they will spread our product out to all 15 acute care hospitals within their system. So here's the financial value of our product. Each year, hospitals will waste about $31,000 of unused capacity, right? For a 250-bed hospital, that is something less than $11 million wasted on equipment just sitting there. With our product, because we can identify the right equipment and identify which equipment you're not using and provide you solutions to get rid of those underused equipment, we can save you $15,000 per bed per year. So here are the numbers, right, the metrics. We target larger hospitals and metro areas. And if we take an average of 250-bed hospital, that's a $180,000 contract. And because we're in a 36-month contract, that will net out $540,000 LTV. For ambulatory surgery centers, it's actually a really good thing for us because they have a much faster sales cycle, and we charge them a flat rate of $6,000 per year, and that will net out $18K for the lifetime. So what is unique about our product is that we are the first company to bundle, to take all these issues around medical equipment and bundle it together on one platform. So most of our features are already being done, just not as well as we're doing. So Cohilo is a company, a startup based out of Boston, that also allows hospitals to share equipment. But that's all they do. They do not track utilization, they do not link it to the FDA, they do not do anything else. On the FDA front, Rasmus is a dominant player, but they're not really a software company. They're an email service. They send emails to hospitals saying this equipment has been recalled, and you spend a lot of time trying to find that piece of equipment. And finally, Aeroscout is a company that tracks medical equipment, but they're more of a hardware player, and they do not really have good software. So our exit is really simple. We have a product that we think will be very attractive to two groups, right? The first is the OEMs. An OEM would love to have our data on preference and utilization, and existing clinical engineering firms could use our product to enhance their offering. So we're looking for an exit, and based on the multiples and our revenue projections, we're looking at something like $105 million sale. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, who wants to start with questions for the? All right, Chris.
Can you talk a bit more about the product/platform technically? Is there a dashboard or interface that your clients are interfacing with, and who built that? Do you have a team, or do you have developers you work with on that?
Yeah.
Just talk about the product of it.
Okay, yeah, so it's a platform, and we have a dashboard that allows hospitals to easily see how they're using the equipment, and also identify the recall pieces of equipment. Yeah, we have developers here, and we have a team of developers overseas that we work with to get the product going. So our product is, our FDA solution is really, really simple. All we literally need is your inventory database, and that's it, right? We just need your list of equipment, and that's it. We provide an easy dashboard for you. On the utilization management portion, that's a little bit more involved, because what we do is that we take all the individual hospitals' data, right, and we pull that together, and then we link it to the RTLS system that already exists in the hospital. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what an RTLS is, it's a real-time location system. So RFIDs, Bluetooth, they've been exploding in hospitals, right? Hospitals want to track everything within their system. So what we do is that we take the data that's coming out of that and put it on our system so that we can give hospitals more information and make them use the equipment better.
Excuse me. As a company of medical devices, I'm interested in your data in a third-party consumer interest. Like, if I could provide my potential customers with how much they're wasting money on their current medical devices, and be able to sell them my device based upon information of usage. And so I'm interested in, like, what are the regulations that would keep you from, or if there are any, that would keep you from telling you how a device is used, and or are you only able to access information about how long it's used? Because if I'm interested in, like, the correlation with what treatment is being provided.
So on that front, we give the equipment manufacturers a lot of data, right? So again, we have all your use data on our platform, so we can give you preference, we can give you break fix, life cycle management of your equipment. And what we do is that if you're a GE, right, for the most part, you know how your equipment performs in the market. But what you do not know is how Philips is performing, right? So you are interested in knowing how Philips is performing, and because we have access to all this data, we're actually building a feature that's more like a consumer report, where each quarter or each month we release a report on how medical equipment perform across the board, right? And we sell it back to the manufacturers, right? It's just a way for the manufacturers to make more relevant and more useful enhancements and features, right? You want to know why people are not using your product if you're a manufacturer. That's it, right? I want to know which features should I build that will make more people use my product. And currently, you only see yours and you do not see the competition. With our product, you'll be able to say, okay, people prefer enhancement X. My devices break down at a 5% more than the competition. We give you relevant and actionable data for you to build the enhancements and features that people want, and not spend money getting Gartner data that doesn't tell you anything. We're actually using actual use data to give you more power to build what people need.
Just to add on to that, the way that we're setting things up is that we segment equipment based on the departments that they're slated. So those departments are going to have a certain frequency of procedures in which that equipment is being used, right? So we can also take that data and segment it out and say, hey, if you're radiology, your MRIs are being used for this because these hospitals tend to be looking for this. Does that add to what you're...
Yes, well, I'm thinking about physical therapy as a universal I guess, physical motion device is quite new. Exactly, in the physical therapy world, there are several devices in it, so just to go by the target, maybe a little bit vague.
So our product is not, we're not attacking the physical therapy market. It's just a different kind of product than the products that you use in a hospital. So that is not the market that we are in currently. So I can't go on speak specifically for physical therapy devices.
So being a people that was $45,000 piece of equipment that really is not a code, because it really points to what you're offering. And I'm just curious about you offer that bit of data about how much time they're wasting with their current piece of equipment.
Okay, so this is really interesting, and I know we have a lot of other startups around here who are in the medical area field. What I'm wondering is, because your exit strategy is to the OEMs and primary companies, engineering companies, but then your initial marketing strategy is to the hospitals. I'm wondering what you evaluated to determine how your marketing efforts were going to go forward, particularly since I've worked with large device manufacturers and know that their management of these recalls and stuff is huge, and if you could help them with that, it seemed like they'd be a more natural market fit.
So they are. So what we actually plan on doing, yeah, they are. So with respect to the safety, we actually are going to have a consortium of OEMs that plug in. So with our safety, what's really cool is that we have a dual system where you're expediting your recalls, but you also are able to report back to the FDA as well as manufacturers. And that's where we're going to pool in the manufacturers. So that they are, we just, yes, but they are.
You gotta get the data by counties and hospitals that you're in.
Yes, exactly.
Talk a little bit about the ROI for institutions. Kwaku, your example of they bought a piece of equipment when there was one sitting in another facility. Talk a little bit about that and the payback and the ROI for using your software.
Okay, so in terms of utilization, it's really low. So we are working with a system here in St. Louis, and they have a large number of assets. The value of that is $1 billion. each year their OPEX, his budget is about $50 million. And in looking at the equipment that they have, we can tell you that they should probably reduce their assets down by 25 to 30%. So these are large numbers, and we can just save hospitals just millions and millions of dollars on a yearly basis.
So that's an excellent question. So there's the initial year one savings, which is going to be that upfront, we're going to reduce their assets. But the savings that they'll be able to capture over the lifetime of the contract is going to be extended to the preference data. A lot of hospitals want to standardize their equipment, and there's a cost savings with that. If there's less manufacturers and less models that you have to manage, your OPEX gets reduced, as well as understanding how the data and how your equipment is functioning. Now you have more data, you can make more data-driven decisions in terms of your purchasing, because a lot of hospitals, they just purchase wildly, right? And they don't understand that, is this product actually worth what I'm paying for it? And now with this data, there's a huge ROI that they can have from having that information.
And also, 25%, typically 25% of the cost of medical equipment is the service contract. And hospitals have to make a decision on, do I train my tech to be able to service this product, or do I send it out to the OEM for it to get serviced, right? So because you can have like the break fix, the maintenance records on the equipment, you can finally start to say, okay, this GE product tends to break down a lot more than the competition. So you can start to make a decision on which ones do I purchase, like she said. And you can really start to reduce the number of, you can reduce the variability and have a very tight list of OEMs that you work with that works for your system. So there are ROIs in multiple ways with our platform.
Hey guys, great presentation. Sorry I couldn't catch the whole thing, but quick question. Have you thought about, or have you approached any Medicare, Medicaid providers? Because, you know, that's a large systemic opportunity. They have a vested interest in making sure that their providers are performing to certain standards, and a lot of times those standards are fuzzy at best.
Yeah, so that's definitely a next step. That is something that we're looking at, because if you have defective equipment and something happens to your patient, your chances of reimbursement will reduce, right? So that is something that hospitals as well as insurers should be all in alignment with. So our approach is, yes, we will be doing that, just in the near future.
Understood. Thank you.
My question is about the prospects of the sharing component of your business. Exactly how important you view that to be as part of your future plan and profit strategy, as well as have you examined like what pitfalls come with sharing networks? For example, like the interlibrary book sharing program. Like, it's great if I can wait 3 days for a book. Does it apply to the hospital market? Can I wait 3 days for, or can I predict inventory needs to ask for sharing equipment ahead of time?
On the question of prediction, we have a predictive analytics feature, right? So hospitals have so many pieces of equipment. Let me just walk you through the actual motion, right? So I'm the scheduler for the OR, and I need to perform a procedure on Melanie next week. Currently, what they would do is that they would look at the hospital to see how many of the pieces of equipment do I have to perform this procedure. If they do not have it, they pick up the phone and they call a rental firm. That's it. That's what they do. They pick up the phone and do it ahead of time. We are not changing anything with the current system. All we're doing is this. Same process. Melanie needs a procedure. I go on there and I press a button, right? Once I press that button, our software looks at all the hospitals within my system, finds all the equipment that I've been sitting there, and because we have some intelligence behind what we're building, it can sort out and point out, this is the piece of equipment that A, it costs less to ship to her, and B, the probability of use is really, really low, right? And then on the other side, the hospital that owns that piece of equipment, somebody will get a notification that says, hey, Kwaku is demanding this equipment for a procedure next week, right? So they check off, and then we work with shipping companies and sometimes the hospitals themselves to transport the equipment to and from. And you can actually, we're building it such that you can actually watch in real time. So the sharing is something that already exists, right? It's a company out in Boston that's doing this. It's just, you have to be smart about which types of equipment to share and which types not to share. But to answer your question, they do this essentially with the rental firms, right? They just pick up the phone and the rental company will bring it to them. All we're doing is that you pick up the, you go on our software, you press a button, and the equipment arrives a day or two before the procedure, right? We started at a day or two, but eventually we want to close that gap, right? So that it's just one day before the procedure, and after you're done, it goes back to the hospital that it belongs to.
Other questions?
Can you talk about your pricing strategy, just kind of in general?
Sure. So we price on a per bed basis, right? The one metric that all hospitals pretty much across the world use is how many beds do I have? So we wanted to make it very simple for hospitals to forecast, right? Hospitals are consolidating at a really large, a really fast pace. So we want them to be able to forecast, like, okay, using Ilerasoft's product, this is how much it's going to cost us, because we know the hospital that we're going to buy has 300 beds. It's that simple. So because we have two components in our product, we charge a bundled price for the full suite, right, of $50 per bed per month for the utilization and the FDA recall. And then we split up the FDA. We charge around, for one hospital that we are working with, we're charging $25 per bed per month for the FDA. And then the utilization, we're charging $35 per bed per month. So once you bundle it, you can get some savings.
Other question? Anyone else?
Sales.
So you're doing your pilot, and it's you two on the team right now. What do you think it's going to look like for your company when with what sounds like it's a successful pilot? You have to scale up, and you need sales, and you need technical support. How are you guys planning on doing that, I guess?
So the company is not just us. We have about 6 people on our team. We have 6 people on our team right now. We have a large development firm overseas that we're working with to build this product. So initially, the pilot that we're working, they want our safety recall product, and it is so light. We just need your inventory, and we automate everything that is not going to be taxing for our team currently. But as we grow and as we build our business, we would get channel partners, right? We can get channel partners to sell for us. We've identified consulting firms as a perfect target for this, right? So a company like Accenture has a healthcare practice where they go into hospitals and basically tell them we have too many equipment and walk away, right? They would love to have a product like ours that not only identifies the underused equipment, but you can use it to actually provide a solution, right? So there will be consultants that actually give you solutions instead of ones that just point it out and just walk away. So we have multiple ways. There are multiple ways for us to sell this so that we can reduce our sales force, our direct sales force.
Cool. All right. Other questions? Okay, well then I will ask our summary question, which is, what can the community do for you?
Okay, so you can evangelize about Ilerasoft. That's always good. And we're looking to do more trials. We're looking to do more pilots. So if you know any hospital friends, if you have any hospital friends, let them know about our company and how we can save them millions of dollars and save lives.
Do you guys have a Twitter? I tried to find. Do you have a Twitter account?
We're working.
Okay, all right. I hashtagged you, but I couldn't find it. Okay, cool. All right, I want to make sure I didn't mess that up. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much.
So last thing is that Paul wants me to talk about what Ilerasoft means, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a name that is a bit unique. So I'm from Ghana. She's from Nigeria. We're West Africans, right? But there's a language that spans all of West Africa. I don't actually speak it. It's a Hausa language. And they speak it in Nigeria, they speak it in Benin, they speak it in Ghana. So I wanted a word that sounds nice, but also has meanings behind it. So Ilera actually means be well, be healthy, take care of yourself. So we are in the healthcare space. We're building products that's going to save people's lives. We're West Africans. Why not have Ilera and put the software on it? So that's what Ilerasoft means.
Awesome. I love how you actually assumed we would know that you were West Africans. It says more about you Americans are so horrible with our geography, but we appreciate your confidence in our world geography. Thank you so much for presenting.